Home and Away spoilers. Eden moves on as Cash says goodbye. Next week on Home and Away in the UK, as Cash prepares to say goodbye to Summer Bay, Eden hooks up with Abby's new counselor. The relationship between the Fowler siblings looks set to get a lot more complicated next week, when Eden succumbs to temptation and hooks up with sister Abigail's new counselor Tim Russell. Getting Abby to attend counseling sessions, following her battle with addiction in recent months, had been something of an ordeal for Eden and brother Levi in the first place. After a shaky start, Abby agreed to attend a further session alongside Levi and Eden, where she brutally reiterated her view that Eden abandoned her as a teen when she joined Lyric. Levi later told Abby that enough was enough, reminding her that Eden was the one who stuck around following their parents' divorce. If they had any hope of moving on as a family, then there would have to be some forgiveness. Tim later found Eden and consoled her, and as the two shared a drink in Salt, there seemed to be a hint of chemistry as things became awkward. Tim made his excuses, leaving Eden's head spinning. In the meantime, Eden's ex-fiancé Cash had found himself back working at Yabby Creek Police Station after the closure of Mangrove River. His demotion meaning he now worked underneath Rose, who took over his role as senior constable. Rose was awkwardly forced to pull rank on Cash as he insisted on looking into Perry's case, despite the fact that he had a conflict of interest, namely that the death occurred in his own back garden. When Cash subsequently received an offer for a posting out in the country, he jumped at the chance, having always wanted to emulate his foster father Gary's police work in his own rural hometown. Eden was thrown when Cash informed her that he was moving away, hoping that they would one day reunite, but told him she was happy for him. Next week, Cash announces to Eden that he will be leaving Summer Bay the very next day, having heard that the remote town he's moving to is in desperate need of their new cop. Another bonus for Cash is that he will be living 2 hours closer to Gary. Eden later comments to Levi that she's not sure Cash leaving town whilst he's still grieving for Felicity is a good idea, but she knows that she doesn't get a say anymore. Levi tells Eden that she needs to tell Cash how she really feels, one last time, before he leaves for good. Eden and Cash later have a farewell coffee at Salt, but she feels unable to ask him to stay, knowing that he'll be living his dream. She'd do anything to have Cash stay, Stephanie Panozzo told Aussie magazine TV Week, but she also knows how stubborn and determined Cash is. After watching Eden say a tearful goodbye to Cash, Levi follows Cash outside and finds him overlooking the beach deep in thought. Levi points out the obvious. If Cash is so adamant on leaving, then why isn't he at home packing rather than staring out to sea? He advises Cash to think very carefully as to whether this is what he truly wants. As Cash heads back home and pulls out the engagement ring he had given to Eden, it's clear he's beginning to have second thoughts. Meanwhile, Eden is perked up when Tim calls by Salt to check on her. After hearing she'd had a rough day, he offers to walk her home, and the pair can't help but partake in a bit of flirty banter. Inviting Tim inside for a beer, Eden confirms that she's had a bad day, but doesn't want to talk about it. Instead, she pulls Tim in for a kiss. Whilst Remy is happy to see that Eden has moved on from Cash, when he later returns home to find her making out with Tim on the sofa, he's less than impressed when Eden awkwardly reveals that he's Abby's counselor. Remy asks Eden whether she really feels okay about that, and wonders whether this is just a rebound reaction to Cash leaving. Eden's mood doesn't improve when the first person she bumps into is Cash, who declares that he's having second thoughts about leaving town, and wants to know how she'd feel if he stuck around. Eden's fed up by this point, accusing Cash of messing her around, and retorts that she really couldn't care less anymore whether he stays or goes. He'll do what he wants anyway, despite what she thinks. Whilst Cash mulls things over, Eden defies Remy's judgment and decides to invite Tim over to carry on where they left off. Remy takes Tim's arrival as his cue to leave, and as Tim asks whether they're really doing this, Eden leads him to her bedroom. Tim is kind, considerate and really cares about her, Stephanie adds, so she seeks out a carefree, fun and very sexy fling. But will it all end in tears when Abby inevitably finds out?